Okay, so in this tutorial I want to show how you can modify the behavior of a plugin by passing in various parameters to it. So if we use the compiler plugin as our example again, and we head over to here, and if we click on here, it will take us to some more specific details about the compile goal. Now you've got a bunch of optional parameters. Usually Maven provides really good default parameters, so we don't usually have to play around with this too much. But sometimes you do. And if we scroll down here, at the bottom, we're going to use verbose to show some of the things that are going on during the compile process. So we're going to select that. How do we set that up though? Let's head over to Eclipse and have a look. Okay, so we're back in our Eclipse environment, and what we need to do is make a change to the POM, or add some configuration to the POM. Unfortunately, we can't use the overview section here. We actually need to get into handcrafting some XML. And we need to make a modification to the build element. So we can add a build element here. And then within build, if you just do control space, the auto selection pop up. That's how I do that. And then you can press the first letter of the word, so in this case P for plugins. And there we are, plugins there. This allows us to add a list of plugins, but we just want to modify one. Get rid of that. If you want to format your XML anytime, within Eclipse just do Control Shift and F. Does a little bit of formatting. And then within plugins we can have a plugin, which is the one we're looking to modify. Select that. Now a plugin is basically, as I explained earlier, it's kind of like a jar file which has a group ID, an artifact ID and a version number. So we need to identify the plugin we want to use by those attributes. So how do we find those attributes for the compiler plugin? We need to head over to the Maven reference documentation. And under the name of compiler:compile, which we know is the goal and the name of the plugin, we have the full name, and this is basically the group ID, which is the first part up to the first colon, and it's followed by the artifact ID, and another colon, and then the version. So we actually have the group ID, artifact ID, and version. And then the final colon is the actual goal name of compile. For our group ID, we just select that up to the first colon and copy that, head back to Eclipse, and within Eclipse we can then add another element for group ID, select that, paste, then head back over to documentation and grab the artifact ID, and then we can add the artifact ID element, paste that in. And then we know the version was 3.1, so we can add the version element. Okay, so that identifies the plugin. What we want to do is turn the verbose attribute to true. So to do that we need to add some configuration, and there's actually a configuration element. We add one of those. And then within here we have another element for verbose. Now, unfortunately there seems to be a bit of a problem that it won't auto look up. There we are. And we can add that as true. So what we're doing here within the build element, we're adding a plugin. And we've identified the plugin through its Maven coordinates of the group ID, the artifact ID and the version. And then we add some configuration. The configuration is basically the parameter we want to pass into that plugin. So let's save that and see what happens. Do a Maven update, get rid of that red cross. And then we go to run as, build with 3 dots. And again I'm going to do a clean because it's good practice now. So we're going to call the clean goal on the clean plugin, and then we're going to call the compiler plugin with the compile goal, and let's run. What that shows is we've run our clean, which is as we expect, and then the compiler plugin 3.1 is run. And that's compiling one source file because we've cleaned out the target directory. And this is basically the result of making verbose equal true. We're getting a lot of output, which to me is, relatively meaningless, but it just shows you how to pass a parameter in to a plugin. So we'll keep that as an example, because later on we're doing a bit more with manipulating plugins, and we use this as an example. So what we can do is change that to false for now. Save that, and we can actually run that again. So clean. And there we have it. We're basically back to where we were before. We're just getting information being logged out to the console. Okay, that's it for showing how to actually modify a plugin or a plugin's behaviour using the POM. It's a shame really, it's quite verbose to add so many lines. We've got an extra 10 lines being added here. But that's the way it is, I guess. In the next tutorial, we're going to be looking at adding JavaDoc to generate JavaDoc to our project. Just one other thing, the red cross here, if you get that showing up anytime, it usually means that, and it's not highlighting on any classes, it can be because your project's out of sync with the file system. So just do a right click, run as, right click Maven update project. Make sure your project's selected, keep the others as defaults and hit OK. And it refreshes that. It adds a target directory. Okay, next tutorial we're looking at JavaDoc.